Welcome to Month of the Woman here in CTV. I'm Amelia Nakitimbo. With all that's going on in the country right now, I mean, we have part of the country that is still mourning the late speaker, Jacob Olanya, and we have others who are just flexing their political muscles, counting hours before they go into the speakership race. We want to move away from that and bring you a story of inspiration. Our guest today is like a diamond that is rotating, and every time she rotates, she brings a different face to the world and shines a light, not just out of herself, but also in helping others. Right from as early as when she was in high school, being a student, she found ways of making money, not just to help herself and have upkeep in school, but to also help her sibling. And she kept on moving even when she was still a fresher at university. She was able to find herself a job and empower herself and to keep moving. And even when she started work, that was still remarkable. I hope you realize that all those different points I'm making are about when someone is the most vulnerable, and yet she had the strength to do something, not just for herself, but for other people in her life. Please meet Jamila Mayanja. Thank you for accepting our invitation.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, we are very, very happy to be here with you. And we cannot wait to look at all those different faces of the diamond that you are, like we talked about. To start right off, you started a social enterprise, if I may call it, and there's an interesting story behind that, where you were helping women who were vulnerable, I think in Kawempe, and you gave them opportunities to wash clothes, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, it did.
And then when it didn't work out, you just drove all that to take them to do mechanics.
Yeah.
I find that a very interesting thing, and it was the first time that was ever being done. What inspires you to just keep moving, to keep moving? Do you find it natural within yourself, or you think there's something that impacted you that makes you think, I have to keep moving like a river?
Yeah, you know, when as a person, oh God, I hate doing laundry. So when I got married but even before, when I was in high school, I've always had a passion, I think I've noticed, to give back to my fellow women and girls. And when I graduated, left campus, getting into marriage, and then got into a situation where I hate doing something that I hate doing, and I end up doing it. I'm a believer that if you can't do something with someone who enjoys doing it, but you need to facilitate them to do it. So that's when I started the J Mobile Laundry Service, to have the girls do the washing. But later on, I found it selfish that all they could wait for was the fact that I would get them the clients and then they do the washing. That became so famous in Kawempe, Maganjo, and I later agreed to 5 to 30 ladies, and I would get my bachelor friends to actually do the washing. But later on, I noticed they would just eat, drink the money. So I decided to add into a concept where they could be empowered to use the money that I would pay them to start up their own businesses. Yeah, so that worked out really well for some time, and I get excited when I come up with an idea and it actually works out, because I'm a kind of person who, when I get an idea, I do not wait. I want to make it work immediately. When I think about it, I'm going to try it out the next day or even that moment. So that really worked out so well. It was quite fun. But later on, when I went to the US for the Yali Fellowship, I was even recognized by Barack Obama. It was quite a fun one. But coming back, getting into this whole fame of being recognized by Barack Obama, the ladies were not really getting the change that I wanted, because most of the ladies I was getting that time were survivors of gender-based violence, were trying to get out of prostitution, they were trying to get out of drug abuse. So the businesses were hope for them to try and get back the situation. But after this time, it was becoming a problem.
Just to take you back, and we'll come to that story of after, when you had just come back from the US and you realized that these women you're trying to help, something wasn't working out because the vision bearer wasn't there or wasn't fully present. You mentioned that the ladies that you were working with, because I'm hearing different aspects right now. There's financial empowerment, there's social empowerment. Were you very intentional on the people you were identifying to say, maybe we should find a person with a certain profile, or it was whoever would come to you?
Yeah, no, you're right. Because the first lady that I worked with, actually, when I was looking in the area I was living in Maganjo, first it was irritation with that one lady. But then, you know, when someone is watching for you, and this time you get to stay home, and then you get to talk to them to understand their story, that's when I realized who she is. And after that 1 month I had worked with her, actually it was 1 or 2 months. She was later telling me, oh, Hajat, I'm going to get you someone else. For me now, I'm good to go. And then I'm like, but you told me you really needed this job. Why are you letting me? I was like,
and you had a need that you needed for her to
so I was
fulfill.
pissed. I got off my musical and I went to look for her. But I found when she had started her market store. And she's like, the money you've actually been paying me has led me to start this market store. So I need to give it more time to be there.
In the conversations you had with her, did you ever talk about maybe using the money right, or she just happened to also have...
She was my inspiration.
Yeah.
That lady is my inspiration. She is the one who made me realize, oh my God, when you pay someone, they have a need, a niche then, because her intention was very clear when she was coming to work for me. And it's through her that I realized that I could do that with the J Mobile laundry business. It's through her that she connected me to these old ladies that were going through situations of gender-based violence, because that was her story.
Yeah.
She was going through gender-based violence, and because economically she didn't have enough money and she was fully depending on this border guy.
Yeah.
So when I sought her out to come and wash these clothes, and later on I was paying her very well, she was able to get her own financial independence to say, you know what, I'm done now, I can take care of myself and my kid. And she was good to go. It's through her that I actually now started to grow the whole idea of J Mobile hiring more ladies. She became my secretary with her market store. So, but at first that wasn't the intention, but I learned, and it's through that I learned how to play around with ideas, and mostly through the stories and the impact that I'm changing on a particular person or a particular group.
Right. Yesterday we were having a conversation right here about the rights of domestic workers and casual laborers. And one of the things that came out from the conversation was the fact that especially as people who are empowered and are hiring these people, you don't need to be selfish to think that their life starts and ends with doing the work that you're giving them to do. And you did exactly that. You empowered this person, and then through her transformation, you're thinking, wait a minute, there are many other people that I could help using this. And so now we'll go back to that story where the style that you said, the business you did was now doing so well that you are recognized, you're able to apply for the Yali Fellowship, and you went to the US and you came back, and around that time you're doing so many media interviews, conferences, I believe, and I think there's a truth to that, where maybe a lot of young people get very successful and it becomes all maybe glitz and glamour, and we forget to do the work. Yeah, no,
I'm a culprit to that, but not in a really bad way. Is that this grew so fast, the J Mobile grew so fast, and it was quite exciting within a short time. I think I started it in 2015 when I was pregnant. Then after being pregnant, this lady connected me to Mo 15. The Mo 15 grew to 30, to 30 grew to 40. Like, it became so fast. So within a span of 3 months, I had over more than 30 ladies that I was helping.
And were they all from the same region?
Yes.
Or coming from even other neighborhoods?
Yeah, so they started from Maganjo, grew Kawempe, then they started growing. So I had different areas that I would work with, but all of them you could see they were from the slum areas and the same home, homesteads, I would say.
Yeah, their stories were similar.
Very, very similar, because it was more of word of mouth. Oh, I'm actually benefiting from this, you come through. So whenever a lady would come through and she's benefiting, before she left, I would tell her, bring me more 2 ladies that would benefit, so that I would have the cycle running. So it was amazing. And then when I went to the Yali Fellowship, this was going on, I came back from the fair. I was doing a lot of, not really femme, but I was doing a lot of interviews. I was doing a lot of more bigger outreaches, but I had not yet
concretized.
Yes,
or laid the foundation very well.
Exactly, putting the system to make sure, even without me, it's running sustainably.
You mentioned yourself and the secretary, who is the lady that you had started with.
Yeah.
Which other people were you working with?
Yeah, at that moment, that it was just me and her. And maybe there was just one other gentleman who was helping me rally around the bachelors, but that was it. And then later on, I'd have my other team They would come and do the training for them in entrepreneur and employable skills, how they could manage the money, how they could start businesses. And that time I'd also partnered with Rotary Vision Power. So I was using that team to actually train them. But like concrete systems to always follow up the ladies, I hadn't yet set them at that time. So after all this is happening at the end of the year in 2016, I'm back. Everything has cooled down with my own fame.
The dust has settled.
Has calmed down.
Yeah.
To go back and follow up the ladies I had started with, they had actually gone back to their situations. And I noticed that trend with the ladies who are starting the businesses, they would start the same kind of businesses. They'll start market stalls, they'll start small salooning, they'll start small restaurants, yeah?
Yeah, we'll get to that. You mentioned something that these ladies were benefiting, they were getting something, and then they'd go back and tell others.
Yeah.
Just to help us paint a clear picture, what kind of benefit were they getting? How were their lives being transformed by working with you?
So the cool thing was this, so I had organized a system that whereby if they'll do 10 jobs, I would pay them 10,000, those jobs. So that is like what, 100,000, yeah? And then with that 100,000, I would tell them, yes, you need to eat, but let's see what you can start with, maybe 80,000 or 50,000. So they would work from Monday up to Friday, or some of them would even work Friday. Actually, our busiest days were Friday and Sunday, and then would use Monday and Tuesday to do the trainings, the business trainings. And the Vision Power, how we designed it with the team of Rotary, was a way that how you could be able to start a business at a very, very, very low cost, very low cost. So that's what we taught them, that at this much money, what can you start with? So that's what they learned. And they were very amazed that I do not have to wait for millions to actually...
Which is a misconception that many of us have. Yeah.
They notice that we don't have to wait. I don't have to work so hard to first save 5 million to start a business. Even with this very little 100,000, I can actually make a business. So ideally, also that led to the businesses they were starting. So we taught them very simple bookkeeping. We taught them how to market, how to sell themselves, and also self-confidence building to be able to understand that how you can do it. And from all this changed their perspective. It's different from a woman. You found who thinks they have to sit at home, wait for the border guy to bring money, and then go and buy salt, and then come back. Like that routine is, let me just be home and watch TV. If they have TV, or if they don't have TV, let me go and gossip. Or at night, let me go and do my, my other night work, yeah? So it changed their perspective. A lady who didn't have hope to either go back to education, they're getting education that they believed were campus level, but they were getting it on a very relatable level and workable, and they could see it work. They were testing it firsthand.
And I think you were giving them like street knowledge, which is not even taught in school.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they practice it and see it work. There's no way when a lady and they could see the example from the lady who had collected them, the one I was working with. She had started her market store, and she's like, if you remember, she kept on giving them testimonials. And so sometimes the stories of the people who live next to us and we've seen them change inspire us to come along.
Right.
So that's what made them come by and also try it and be able to change as their friends had changed. Yeah.
And I imagine that maybe they had also grown up in lives where they didn't have role models, which will take us to the other conversation of what they were doing later on. But just to understand, what were the ages, maybe like the age group, and I mean, what were they doing before they came?
Most of them were homestay mothers, so these were like really young mothers, and some of them were teenage mothers, and some of them, these were school dropouts. So the biggest age we had were between 18 to 28.
Right.
Yeah, and most of these were either school dropouts or some of them who ran away from up their rural areas to come to Kampala to try and find work. They couldn't find work. They end up, and the other trend we noticed, most of them were like who used to do house girl work, but maybe got married to border guys in a way, or got married in the slum areas. Married
in courts because they just moved in.
They
it's not even an official marriage.
They cohabited. So that was the age range. Some of them were really young mothers and most of them were really going through violent relationships. And why they were staying in those relationships, because they didn't have independence, financial independence. So they had to stick there because their boyfriend or cohabitant was really literally doing everything. Right. And they've just been doing one job, giving birth, eating, giving birth, some of them would take drugs, some of them were sex workers who are trying to get out of that situation of sex work and had a bad experience out of it. But the sex workers were mostly coming from Bwaise.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've come back from the US, and no, before you came back, you saw that most of the time when they would get now this financial literacy, they would go into setting the same businesses, like you mentioned, either market stalls or saloon work or something else. And I think that points to the importance of role models and role modeling, because even in their homes that you found them in, they didn't know any better. Everyone was doing that, and that's what they were doing. So, and then you found that very troubling, that everyone was doing the same thing.
Yeah, but this was after I came back from the US. I hadn't noticed it. Yeah, I hadn't noticed it at that time before that travel at the US, because I learned so much in the Yali Fellowship that actually led me to really research and understand what I was, after the whole film, understand what I was actually doing, if it was actually working. So
what kind of points were you researching on to measure the impact, or if it was working?
So you see, when we went to the Yali Fellowship, we learned something called design thinking. It's called human-centered design, where you learn if you're actually making the impact you're making in a particular project, if you're actually solving the problem. Yeah, so that when after all this film down, I went back and I was like, you know what, let me practice what I learned at Dartmouth University and see if I'm actually being a true leader, I'm actually doing the impact, and if I'm actually solving the problem that I intended to solve after meeting the other first lady. And that's when I got to notice all these things. All of them were starting the same businesses, and then when they would get to have a struggle for a client, because they were in the same area. Like there's ones who started like small tailoring, and this comes with her cascade here, and then they struggle with a client. The one who fails to get a client, like, now gives up. It's like, you know what, for me, this is meant for me. This is the one. You know how people from downtown Mizigo can really fight. So when they get to fight, this one's like, this is not working for me. So they would get out of it. Like, they give up the business, or they sell it to a neighbor and let it go. There was, you know, with empowerment, there's always that one or two people, or three or four, who are very resilient, and there are those who need a longer, bigger push. So that's what I noticed, that because of them starting the same businesses, them being in the same area, and them fighting for clients, or not even getting clients, because maybe I hadn't given them more skills to actually market, to diversify, they would end up giving up the whole thing, and then they'll go back. So you're seated there and you're thinking, oh, okay, I thought I had solved a problem, but looks like we have a new problem. And then, as your life has been, just out of an ordinary conversation, you got a solution. Yeah, I got a solution from watching some animation called Zootopia. So this is about, the cartoon is about how a small bunny wanted to be a police woman, and she was really quite tiny, and there were hippopotamuses. It's so funny. I love Zootopia, by the way. I think I've watched it like 3 times. I've watched it a number of times. So I was thinking, I'm like, but how can I challenge women to believe that they're not entitled to do only those jobs? Like, they're not, like, why should society believe that's the only job, those are the only jobs, if you've not fully educated, that is what you're pushed to do? So while after watching that cartoon, it was kept on lingering in my mind. One of the Uber guys that was driving me tells me how the father wants to help me. Okay, he had done research about me, and because I used to be a marketing manager at SMS1, and at that time when I came back from the US, before going to the US, I had quit to try and concentrate on what I was doing and really formalize it and have, like, set it up. He researches that I had used to do a lot of marketing for SMS1. So he calls me to try and market his garage, and I'm like, you can't afford me. I am very rich. So hold on. He took you once, and then maybe had your name and decided to go and do research about you, or you worked out a relationship where he would always pick you whenever you had to go wherever? We had organized a relationship. He would pick me for a number of times. And with that, we got to know each other, because I like really convenience. So I would call him, instead of using the app sometimes, I would actually call him. And that time I'd really given birth to my second baby. So I really needed help, and I didn't have a lot of mobility. So we got to know, he really got to find out about me. And that's how he asked me to try and market his dad's garage. To the men, because I think you mentioned that in your work, other than the women, there's something that you had for the men as well? But that came up after I had started the Girls with Tools, because the Girls with Tools was born within that spam of me watching Zootopia, and then my Uber driver asking me, can I market the garage? Then I'm like, you can't afford me. And then I'm like, but wait, how can I come and partner with your garage to try and skill some ladies in mechanics so that I can make them into mechanical engineers.
Yeah, and then
that's
something.
How the Girls with Tools was born.
How long did that Zootopia idea connecting with the, like, what was the time period between all that?
It is really small, and when I get an idea, I do not sleep because I'd watched Zootopia like the night before, and then the Uber guy was taking me to town, and then he's telling me this, and then I get the idea, and this comes from from the knowledge I gained from human-centered design, because I really wanted to experiment and see if it works out. It gives you a chance to experiment about ideas and really do a prototype to prove its concept. Yeah. So when he told me, the idea was born just there in the car, and I'm like, let me do this.
So when you told him that, okay, I may not get you the guys that you're looking for, I have ladies, what was their reception?
Yeah, he was like, what? No. I was like, no. We still try to attract the girls to come and train at the garage for the mechanics that we refuse. I'm like, I will make it happen. You just give me the platform. I will, and anyway, it's going to market your garage differently. If I bring the ladies to train in mechanics, it will attract clients to come there. Like, I'm really fast in thinking, because I think for also the knowledge I've learned in marketing, I'm really quick to visualize something.
What they call thinking on your feet. We can clearly see that.
Yeah, it's thinking on my feet. I'm quick at thinking at how something can transpire, and I have always how plan A, plan B, plan C. So when plan A doesn't work, so you will, and I like learning on the job. I like working on something and keep on changing it to grow. But when I've started, I do not want to put things on paper. Like, let me first write the idea.
Designs,
Yes, let me design the paperwork while I'm working.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. And then when you took the idea to the women, how did they receive it?
Some, of course, refused. Like, no, how can they see me? I remember one of them, Prost, was like, no way. So I'm like, no, let's just try it. I'm sure it's going to be fun.
What was the group that you spoke to at that time? How many were they?
There were five. And these were also from my former J-Mobile.
Yeah.
So I called them up and they're like, let's try it out. You're going to learn a skill. What class did you stop at? So I really convinced them. So I get them overalls, we go and practice, and oh my God, they looked so smart. And when they left that day, and I told them, do not remove your overalls till you get home. So people first call them garbage girl, garbage people, but it created a lot of attention, and we women love attention. So when they came back, most of them, I didn't think they would come back the next day, but all of them came back when they said, and their feedback was, whenever people would stop them calling them garbage people, and then they will indulge them in conversation and tell them, no, we are not garbage people, we are actually learning mechanics to work on your car, to work on your motorcycle. It got people exciting, and they couldn't get them, wouldn't wait to see what they learn. So they got back because, like, everybody fancied them being different.
What I'm hearing is that the doubters also inspired you to continue working, and you're really proving what you said earlier at the start of the show, that you're like a river. You just keep moving and forming your path. You don't stop. So you had 5 the previous day, and then the next day. Yeah,
and then it grew. We did a little bit of mobilizing, so we got more. I like odd numbers, so we got from 5 to 15. We went to 30 something. So we then also, I pitched it to the US Embassy. They helped us start. So we started around with 38 young girls, and we did train them first only in mechanics for 6 months, which was successful. Oh my God, that was so beautiful. And later on, they even got jobs in some of them already in some garages along Kere and Sao Paulo. So then we increased it. We decided to add now other male-dominated careers like electrical engineering, carpentry, welding, And after that first graduation, now we had become so famous around it.
Right. We'll come right into that. We're going for a very short break, but we continue with the amazing story of Jamila Mayanja on her way of inspiring girls, empowering girls and women in her community. This is CTV, Month of the Woman. Don't blink.
Don, Rajo gela mazina gentima. But you man ain't no tell me kida. Every time it clocks 11 a.m. on CTV, we bring you the only certified morning party, the branch request.
So I would love to listen to everything. Then you put your hand, go work.
If you believe it, say amen. If you believe it, say amen.
I would like to listen to Toast by Coffee.
Fire.
Shiba.
Yes.
My name is Starboard Tim.
Now showing on CTV, Don't Blink.
Look at her go. Don't miss her glow. She's beautiful, elegant, brilliant, confident. She adorns a crown of glory, woven in grace by her story, cloaked in a gown of strength, laced with diligence at the hem. Who art thou, O great mountain, before her? Honor her for all that her hands do. Her works bring her praise. She is the Proverbs 31 woman. She'll never be in a daze. She will emerge victorious. She bravely faces adversity. Through this crucible like silver and gold, she unfolds unscathed like a phoenix rising from the ashes. She laughs at the days to come, her tongue laced in wisdom. Her children arise, they call her blessed. Her husband, yes, he praises her. She is woman. We celebrate her. We are CTV. Don't blink.
Welcome back and thank you for keeping it CTV. You're watching Month of the Woman with me, Amelia Nakitimbo. And today, or this morning, we're learning to do it the Jamila Mayanja way, who is, like we mentioned in the beginning, she's like a diamond and she has different faces to her, and every face of that diamond is shining a light in her community and changing every face that it touches. Before we went on a break, she was telling us about the smart girls, or the women that she has helped, turning them from stay-at-home moms who are not educated, underprivileged, gave them a platform to start washing clothes, and some of them later used that money to start market stalls and other businesses like tailoring, and later on she challenged them to take on mechanics, which was something that people in that community and even the women themselves had not thought of, and the stories are amazing. I understand that has now impacted many other women, not just in Kawempe, but you have stories which are even far out of Kampala. If you could share some of them with us.
Yes, so we officially now started and registered the program, and it's called the Girls with Tools Business Skilling Program. So we really now really expanded it and expounded on it. By 2019, we had over 100 young women that not only coming from Kampala, but were coming from all over the country to where we were. And we were training them now in steel mechanical engineering, metal fabrication, woodworks, electrical engineering. We're adding construction, we've added painting, and we've been able to grow in numbers. We even have some who stay over in boarding sections, so that school, those who come from very far, and those who come from day boardings, and we make sure they are trained and fully certified. We partner with Bugema University to have them certified either by DIT for the hands-on, those who don't know English, and then those with UBTEB, and now we are trying to partner and even take them further to university level. But on all levels, they're still able to create their own businesses. We are very passionate to make sure whenever they graduate, either after 6 months or after 1 year or after 2 years, they're starting their own businesses, and we are working along with them to make sure these businesses start and they're actually hiring more women and employing more women. So it has really grown. We've been able to create already, when we started in 2018, because that particular program started in 2018, we've been able to graduate already around 150 young women who already started up their businesses or working in other businesses. We've partnered with local workshops who have taken up these women to work. But while I was doing that work, I also started something called the Goodman Project. So the Goodman Project started from something prior, but I'm very passionate to create a gender balance, but also fact that when the ladies would walk into some garages, they would be shunned. And some of them would also be timid because they were learning alone. So starting this last year, we decided to enroll 10% boys, young men, to be able to learn with the girls, for the men to appreciate that it's okay for the women to take up the skill sets, and for the girls to appreciate you're going into an industry where you're working with the men, so you need to learn to work with them. But also was very particular to empower the young men, for a selfish reason, to empower the women. Yeah. So it has really grown, and we've gained more support, and we are still expanding it as far as we can.
Right. You mentioned something about certifying. And there's also something important that you mentioned about registering that business. And part of the conversations that we've had on this table so far is insisting that, especially for a woman out there or any young person out there, when you start your business, you must register it. Yeah. But now on certifying, what made you understand, or what made you appreciate the importance of certifying the skills that you're teaching these people? Because we could say, after all, she has the competences, she can go there and do anything that she wants to do.
I really like the questions you're asking, because that has led the build on. The first girls were training, so they go out to look for these jobs, yeah?
Right.
And whenever they would work, this one particular lady, oh my God, she's called Joyce. So Joyce went to look for these jobs, and she worked in like over 10 garages. And all the 10 garages, even if she would practice the skills, they would not believe she was actually skilled. And that really bothered us so much. So she was a big, like, I like working with the ladies to get feedback from them. So she was a good, the feedback we kept on getting from the ladies who had graduated, those 38 ladies, helped us inform our establishment and what we needed to put in place. And in particular for Joyce, she said, one, it was not good for her to really walk alone to get into this garage. Two, when we added her with other ladies to walk into our garage, and later the garage we connected them to and were successful, yeah? Still, they would find other issues of fact that they didn't have wash facilities that were friendly for them, change facilities, everything came up, and we kept on improving on it. So it was through her that she said, you know what, I really need to be fully certified. There's some level, if you have certification, there's some levels of cars that you can be able to work on, and it feeds to your employer to know that you actually have this skill, and the government body has fully certified you for this skill. It's not for jokes that you've walked into a garage and you've just done it and maybe I would mess around. So it creates trust for those who employ them, but also when they end up starting their own workshops, the clients to actually bring them their cars, they now trust them with their cars. You know, with all people who know with their cars, you want to have a person you trust.
Who knows what they're doing.
Exactly. And if they prove to you that I know what they're doing, beyond just actually the results, but even the little paperwork that you wouldn't expect them to have. Because most of these ladies are coming from backgrounds, you would think, ideally, how are they going to get this certification? So it was very important for us to prove to the environment, to the community, that we are not just joking around giving the ladies to just go and do this work. We are making sure they are successfully working and fully sustaining themselves in these careers.
Right.
Yeah.
And then now I'm curious, because you've talked about the garages that would demand certificates. What kind of places were they walking into, and did they demand the same from the men who were there?
You know, we also say the same things. It's like you were there. Did you? Yeah. Yeah. They did, like, yeah. It's, you know, it's so weird. Like the gender norms.
Disparity.
Yes.
I think in all professions we always see that women are demanded to be, if you want to contest to be a member of parliament, then you must have maybe master's level and you have to prove yourself that you've done something. Is that did you feel the same in that situation?
Yes, I asked the same exact question. I asked some guy, I'm like, did you get this guy's certification? I'm sure I can prove all the men here do not have this kind of certification. So we really challenged them, and for me, that's why it was even very important to get that certification for the ladies, to try and prove to them that, yes, you feel, yes, the ladies have to have it, let them even have it anyway, so that they can prove you right to what you're saying, right, and even prove much more. So yeah, it really bothered us, and that's how I also eventually, with the Girls with Tools, I do a lot of empowerment for the community, not only for the girls, and I have the community, the local leaders, the religious leaders involved at the training center to appreciate what the breed of the ladies we are bringing on. Like, we're not a joking subject.
You're serious ladies indeed. And yeah. I think that also opens opportunities because if you're certified and you're serious about what you do, it might put you on a platform to attract a certain type of clientele that you might not get if you're just, doing things haphazardly. But I understand that there's something also interesting that you did for these ladies that you took to the garages. You taught them self-defense skills.
Yes, yeah.
At what point did you realize that it was important? Was there an incident that happened?
Yeah, it was there. Still from the first ladies. When they went to one of the garage, one of the lady was lucky to get one garage that was way out of in Matuga. And they end up going to a job a job at night, someone's car as I've stopped and it's really late in the night, and she was almost sexually harassed. So, and even some also had issues. They kept on bringing back feedback that kept on questioning what more we can give them. And because most of the first ones who went were mostly looking for employment. At first they were not employing themselves.
Right.
So that first one also, the experience for that one girl, I've forgotten her name, that she went through in Matuga with the sexual harassment, and then when she developed it with research about the other ladies that were employed, they also had some issues that were coming up, like when they go down the car, this guy is trying to touch her thigh and everything. So it was very important for me. I'm like, do you know what? Let me give an extra skill to these ladies, because I do not want to stop just to give them the skills to work, but also to defend themselves, to feed themselves, and also to grow independently. So that's how that self-defense came in. I just wanted to give them something extra because, there's one guy who was married to one of the girls, came and wanted to fight me and was like, you're really changing these women absolutely. So you're trying to build army women who are now working and now who can absolutely defend themselves. Because empowered women can be
really scary.
Yes, so the empowerment.
Intimidating is the better word, yes.
Actually. intimidate him so much.
Yeah.
So, but it was so nice to see, and the self-defense also grew their confidence.
Right.
Because they knew now they can defend themselves in all angles, financially, and when violence also happens, yeah.
Right.
But also we give them the intelligence to know that sometimes violence is not the answer. This is not for you to beat up your husband or beat up everyone. It's for you to know when you're in that time, critical time, you're not just giving. You can actually have the tools to defend yourself. But also all of them, it was mostly more of a self-confidence booster for them.
Okay, but now you're making us think that you have a bag of so many tricks and so many skills. I mean,
Yeah.
you're talking about this, all the training that you did. When they needed financial skills, you gave them. When they needed to, do all this, was it you doing all that, or you found partners to teach all the different skills where you found gaps?
Yeah, I have, no, I don't work alone. I have like a full team. Even right now when you go to a center, it's really working. Like I have a full team. And it's like a full holistic program where they come in for training. They even have a full timetable on when to learn when. And yes, I work so much with partners, Zimba Women, Work for Life. I have funny boards that would come in and give these ladies to do with BNI Foundation. So they come in on the timetable. Now this day we are going to give them this day they're etching this. So they're well timetabled to have what's throughout the week. Yeah, and we even do co-curricular activities. We even do some gardening. So it's a full program where when a lady comes in is fully empowered, but not only as herself, but also her family, because we even have a family day whereby those who have their parents or have their husbands come and like spend a day with them to know what they're learning, so that they do not have to we don't have that violence to try and violate them and everything, to appreciate what we are giving them.
Right.
So I'm very particular with partnerships, but also I have a huge team that has really supported me to actually have this as a success.
Right, recognizing that you can't do it all alone.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the other face of the diamond. You mentioned in one particular interview that you gave, or you like to mention that you faced challenges when you were growing up as a girl,
Yeah.
because at a very critical age you grew faster than your peers, and you even started your period much earlier.
Yeah.
And right now you're doing something to empower schoolgirls, especially those from underprivileged families, to be able to access school. If you can, tell our viewers about that.
Yeah, so in Kitante Primary School, I used, as you've said, I really grew. I've always been as if bigger, older than my peers.
Right.
So I started my messes really early, and by that time in the 90s, there was still the taboo of menstrual hygiene talk. So when I started,
how early was it when they started?
It was actually my P5.
Primary 5.
Primary 5. That's when I started my period, and that time that was quite early. I don't know why nowadays, even with the work I'm doing, it's normal for a girl to start that early.
I think back then it was mostly maybe Form 1, Form 2, or Form 3 around there.
Yeah. And I kept quiet. I didn't know what was going on in my body. So I go to class, I see blood, I just sit and I mapped my dress. So I was bullied by some boy who I can't mention, and I know him so well. I'll never forget him.
Maybe you should mention it, and he might use that to.
No, he was really young. I think he didn't know better.
Right, of course, he didn't know better.
So he bullied me throughout my primary. That time Ori's parts would just come up, and whenever he would see me, he would sing for me that Ori's song to say this is the girl who mapped and everything. So I really didn't want. When I went to high school, I was very particular in helping young ladies who are just starting their period. I would actually took it myself to counsel them, teach them on how.
How would you identify them?
No, you'd find, I don't know, we find each other. You find someone who is stuck in the toilet. She doesn't want to get out. She's confused, like, what is happening to me? And you ask her what's going on. And then I would engage them in conversation, and I know what they're going through. Because after that situation I went through, that whole day I didn't get out of the toilet. They looked for me, I was in that toilet the whole day. So really, and when I went back home, I still didn't talk. It was the house help who helped me and gave me toilet paper you can imagine to use, which led me to fall sick. It's like a massive whole thing.
Yeah.
So in secondary, I took it up upon myself. But when I left high school, also university, because later on when I told my parents, my dad would make it a point to make sure I always have what to use.
Right.
I had a good relationship with my dad. but also later on intervening with ladies, I noticed that timid, less confidence comes from the fact we do not talk to our parents or our parents don't talk to us. So I decided to organize an event first to fundraise for reusable pads, because with my own experience, I want to do more research, and young girls were going through worse. For me, I had access to toilet paper. Later, and I had access to pads.
Right.
But there's some girls who don't even have access to those. So I kept on, and I didn't know how to help about it. So later on, I decided, you know what, let me do a fundraiser to try and buy reusable pads for those young girls, but also use it a chance so that as if the middle class to not have their children, girls, go through the situation I went through. And that's from us just having a conversation as parents, but mostly I preferred so much the father-daughter bond, because I believe a father-daughter bond goes even beyond just the self-confidence. It even tricks into our marriages.
Right.
Yeah. So
you found it important to have the fathers talk to their children, not just the mothers,
yes.
or both.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you mentioned that a fundraiser started. When was that? And how did it start? Whom did you involve?
So I started that fundraiser. I started the father-daughter dance in 2013.
Right.
That I held at Serena. And oh my God, Serena team really supported me, because when I told them about my idea, they were quick to just give me a free venue, and I was just fresh from campus. So I went into some partners, called my friends and told them, would you bring your father along? Some of them were like, would come the whole family. It was actually a father-daughter dance, but it was like a family event. Gathering. Yeah, gathering, celebrating the father and the daughter.
That's remarkable. You mentioned that you're just out of campus.
Yes,
and you know, we can say that for most of the people who are coming out of campus fresh, they don't even know what they want to do with their lives usually, or they're just trying to figure it out.
Yeah, my mom was, I remember when I told her, she said, go to do an event, like this huge event. I went and walked into silk events. I told them I'm going to hire them. The first didn't also believe me, because they didn't think I have the money.
Yes.
But I mobilized partners. I'd like Still and Tube. I remember my first supporters were Still and Tube, Hacks Bond, like even the rare sponsors any normal event would have. So it was really successful, the first one. It was amazing, and we got to fundraise for reusable pads that we gave out to 100 girls that we went to Uganda. Right. And actually did that. And I did that event for 3 years. But later on, when I was bringing it back in 2019, that's when COVID happened. Yeah, it was quite amazing. And now I was doing that event along with the girls with tools. Yeah. But also later on, I realized after I came back from the US, it wasn't actually working the way I wanted it to work.
Oh, yeah. You realized after that, do we still have a father-daughter dance? Was it an annual event? Or?
Yes, it was an annual event. Yeah. But later on, still, because it happened 2013, 2014, 2015, and didn't get to do it 2016 and 2017. Why? Because I had left the US. And also I had realized that I was giving out the reusable pads. When I went back to research about the girls I was giving those reusable pads, if they actually had stayed in school, they did not stay in school, some of them. 80% didn't
And what were the reasons?
So the reason was, now this girl you meet deep down in Mayuge or Bidi walks quite a distance from school to home. By this time, this girl can't afford a reusable pad. They usually have just that one book. They write in like 3 subjects. Yeah,
just changing and dividing.
They are behind, or if they have 2 books, they write behind. Yeah. Now, this is a girl. Sometimes even they're walking in feet. Even when they get to school, they are sharing wash facilities. So you've given her a reusable pad. Yeah, she has been lucky maybe to get a Kavera to carry the 3 pads she's going to use throughout the day. She gets to school. The break time is quite short for her to change that reusable pad and have to wash it. Then to look for her to hang it, she's from home. So it was an inconvenience for them to use these reusable pads from school. So they still rather stayed home to use them from home, where they had the convenience to actually wash them, clean them. Right. So it was actually not really solving the problem.
And they were staying out of school, they're not catching up. But I like the fact that you took the time to research. If your work, if the the social change you're trying to create, if the change was actually there.
Yeah, I'm very, very passionate, and I don't like doing, and I keep on saying, there's so many organizations that are coming up, and that's why I don't call myself an NGO. And I was very particular to register Smart Girls as not an NGO. I really want to create a full sustainability. I don't want to scratch the problem or the wound. I want to fully remove the wound. So when I did that, that's why I stopped a bit the father-daughter dance. So eventually, in between there, when I did that research, it was around 2016, 2017. I was very particular. So there were some girls also in the Girls with Tools who absolutely didn't want the male-dominated careers. Right. So we introduced the tailoring. So in the tailoring, when they were doing the tailoring, I saw how they were making bags. So when I did the research, I noticed the girls, the young girls in schools were saying, we don't have where to carry their pads. And when we go to school, we don't have access to water. Yeah, to even hang them, they will be stolen. We are scared. And that's how I innovated the Smart Bag.
Right, and we'll be taking a look at the Smart Bag right when we come back from this very short break. CTV Month of the Woman goes on a break. We continue to live up to the promise that we made to you at the beginning of the month, which is bringing people who are doing the most in our communities to inspire change for young women, for young people, and for the young men as well. That's in line with the International Women's Day theme, Gender Equality Today for a Sustainable Tomorrow, and also breaking the gender bias. And I think, like you've heard in Jamila's story, there are so many gender biases that are being broken with the work that she is doing. Yeah, so we go for this short break. We'll be right back.
Now showing on CTV. Start your day fresh with TV unlike anything you've seen before. Wake up with Sunrise at Sea for your daily dose of freshly cut stories, trending online discussions, self-care and constructive conversations. No topic is off limits. Watch Sunrise at Sea every weekday at 7 a.m. Now showing on CTV. Don't blink.
We entertain you. Ngawe tukuwata. Amanya Jamila Mayanja, omubwatu President Birabiri Mukaga, akabonero court. Nanga wento naliya nafuka ikankomya aliya one but tikutema olwaleero. Ali tubasuubiza ntugenda kubanga tuli mu bitu ebyenjawulo. Ani yayambadde obulungi. Kakoye kyakazze ku mulembe. Ne gown ya black erina tiara ya black. Tiara. English of my kind. Tiara. I feel the beat. You feel the beat? Yeah. Show Bajita situations for ground. This is a professional yako. Vera Coco CTV totally. Don't blink.
Now showing on CTV. Don't blink. CTV is now on StarTimes. You can now catch all your favorite programs, our daily comprehensive news bulletins, and so much more on StarTimes channel number 248. Stay tuned for a world of endless possibilities. CTV. Don't blink. As we embark on a journey to realize our full potential, we all need expanded minds and limitless possibilities. We need to be accurately informed, CTV is your growth partner. With reliable, in-depth news, we tell the story from all perspectives. We bring you the story in real time. Catch our comprehensive daily bulletins in Juba Ekolobye at 7 p.m. and PM edition at 9 p.m. CTV, don't blink.
Welcome back and thank you for keeping it CTV. You're watching Month of the Woman with me, Amelia, Nakitimbo, and we also have the remarkable Jamila Mayanja, who is sharing her story with us. Before we went on a break, she was telling us about the smart bags that she created when she realized that a lot of young girls stay out of school because of what they call menstrual challenges, right? However, you've seen so many campaigns already about people who are rallying and collecting sanitary towels to help the girls, but she wanted to do something that goes deep, like she said it in her own words, looking at the wound, fixing the wound and making sure that it's no more. And she did research to ensure that what she was doing was actually impacting people. And now she introduces us to her smart bag, which she worked on because of the research that she took part in. So Jamila, I see that you're carrying something there.
Yeah.
That's the smart bag that you're talking about.
Yes.
What makes it smart?
So what makes it smart? First, we try to innovate and say, now let's do a bag where the girls can be able to carry first their books. Right. So it has a compartment where they carry their books, yeah? And then they have where they have, this is a segment where they can have their pads. So this is like a pocket that carries in their bag, their pads, reusable pads.
And those are some of the pads that you're making?
Yes.
Right.
So this helps them carry their unused reusable pads. So, you know, a day they use 3, yeah? So we put in another different pocket. Inside, it's just inside there, I can't, but it has a different, it's a dry one. Where they get to school, if they don't have where to wash the pads from, they can put it and protect in there. The pads, when they get back home, they can wash them at their convenience. But we noticed still some girls were staying out of school, and because when they would get back home, they would indulge into housework, and then it would get dark, with deco, they don't have where to read their books. And some of them, their wash facilities, I actually don't have, they don't have lighting. Right. So we decided to add a solar panel. So this panel charges a light, charges this light that helps them light. So you see it's now off, it's off. So when they get home, they actually can use this light to read their books and to also access wash facilities. Right. So it has already, when they're walking to school, this panel charges this light with this wire. So they charge while they're moving to school? And when they're at the school, the sun rays actually charging. That's why you see it's lighting here. So this, to make it smart, is the fact that it has the solar panel, and then we recycle plastic waste like this Cavaria, and there are others, to try and add the bag to make it waterproof, to make sure whatever content is inside, even during the rainy season when they are walking, it's actually well dry, And now, so this is solving the issue of the fact there's so many donations for reusable pads, but people forget that it's still an inconvenience for these girls, mostly the ones who stay really quite away from school, to use these pads that are from school. And they still are taboo for a girl to just wash and leave it hanging there. Somewhere. They need still their privacy. So this creates the convenience and the privacy. But even more beautiful, it gives them access to solar light to be able to read their books after dark. And I understand, like you mentioned, I mean, carrying a used sanitary towel is not something that is easy to do. So this solution came out of the research that you did, because you noticed that even when you'd provide sanitary towels, the girls would still stay away because they have to study. And then when they go back home, they have to do house chores sometimes. And now this is enabling them to study. So how long has this smart bag been used, and how many girls have smart bags right now? So all this research, when we started in 2018 launching this bag, it wasn't like this. It was absolutely cloth. And when we did a first prototype of over 5,000 bags that was supported by UNFPA, and they led us to this cool one, so
it looks nice.
It came, and we have one that in partnership with Reform Africa that is absolutely plastic, that is, so we have those, that we have the different types. So we've been able to really study and put out the prototypes to study if they actually work.
Right.
And it has helped us keep to date more than 20,000 young girls in school.
20,000.
20,000. And these are the areas in the eastern and also the refugee camps and some of the urban central.
Right.
Yeah, we've made sure this bag can not only facilitate them to carry their unused reusable pads and the used ones, but those who have access, who don't want to use the reusable pads, because now for sustainability, any normal girl can buy this bag for themselves. Any parent can buy a bag for this, because ideally there's some girls, even in, let me say, Kitante Primary School, Kampare parents, and she has just started her periods. She has not yet learned to track when to move with her pads to be able to be ready for her periods. So this bag helps them, to be ready so that you're not surprised, yeah?
It happens even to adults as well.
Exactly. So we've even gotten adults buying it for themselves, because with every 5 bags we sell, we make another that we give out for free. So we've been, for sustainability, we are selling some so that we can accumulate more we can sell. And we've tested it and it's working. That is, we've gotten partners in Tanzania, in South Africa, that are actually taking it on to implement it, because they're also tired of just giving the reusable pads without absolutely solving the problem.
And those partners of yours, have they also done the research to find out that it's exactly the same thing? You don't just give a pad, it won't change a thing.
We've worked with them and we've told them, you know what, don't just buy. First, be informed of why we've started this.
Right.
And the beauty of this bag also is that, do you remember the tailoring girls I told you about when the girls were tools? Mm-hmm. Now it's being made by our girls in tailoring. So it has helped us also create employment for the ladies in tailoring, because absolutely the money we get from the bags hired from us, or we make sure it's being paid for the girls in tailoring. And we've impacted over 50 young women in these, and they've been able to buy their own machines, sewing machines, beyond the ones at our training center.
Okay, that's absolutely remarkable, and it's important also to test. Indeed, I think that's what makes the work that you're doing very important, and it's no wonder, I think, that the impact is now moving beyond the borders of Uganda to reach our neighbors in Tanzania and far at the tip of the continent in South Africa. You had mentioned something earlier on, if I'm to take you back away from the girls, where you said when you started with the girls with tools, naturally there are those who said, oh yes, this is cool, but our skills, we want the other softer skills, because everyone has their own passion.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned tailoring. What are some of the other things that these other girls and women have gone into?
So particularly for the tailoring, for the girls with tools, we've been particular to also create something we call the business girl magic. So the business girl magic is to give them really the intense business skills, mostly the softer skills, to put in practice, business practice, what they've learned to grow sustainable businesses. Right. But also that the business girl magic is beyond the girls with tools. We have so many young ladies who have started their own small businesses out of their own initiative, not from us, but do not know how to run their businesses. So we started the business girl magic to try and create that platform for the young women who are starting up businesses and need to grow, need a connection to mentors who have run it in a very long time, to be able to grow their small startups to a very sustainable one. But with a selfish reason too, that they're able to employ more young women, because we are such a big population and most of us are unemployed. So if we have more business owners who are women, they will have the courtesy to pick up the others. So the business girl magic is really to mentor and also to give more softer business skills, but also to connect to market those ones who already have businesses.
What kind of businesses are we looking at here? Does it include maybe someone who has a small stall and they're selling 2 packets of 2 pieces of bread?
Yeah.
Maybe a small fridge with soda. Like,
yes.
How diverse are the businesses or the people that you're working with right now?
Yeah, the business girl magic is wide. It has ladies there's a lady who has started some breast kind of pump that helps with breastfeeding. We have those who are doing jewelry. We have those who are doing diet-friendly cookies. We have doing rosemaries, rosemary powder and all those things. Yeah. We have those who are doing stuff around hibiscus. We have those who are doing liquid detergent. So, like, it's really wide. Now, the business girl magic, we open it to the other smart ladies who are out there, but are really struggling in their businesses, to connect them to particular mentors, maybe in finance, in legal, in branding, and also later marketing, because now we've made it like also a sales part, and we hold also events to have them exhibit their businesses to try and attract clients to them. And this is beyond the Girls with Tools. So it has welcomed all of them, and we make sure we keep on connecting them and connecting them to platforms beyond the Smart Girls to be able to grow their businesses. So it's more of a sustainability for our Girls with Tools, but giving a chance to the ladies who are also out there who need to grow as smart ladies in their own caliber.
Yeah, I'm curious, because you had mentioned that you receive calls from all over the place. When people call you, what do they say? Those who want to join the programs that you've started?
You know, like, and people get surprised when they call and it's me picking up, because they think there's someone else. I love, with the work that I did, when I started, I used to work at SMS1. The first job they first gave me before growing into marketing manager was the front desk receptionist and also a salesperson. I'm very passionate to being the first to receive a client. So when ladies pick up, they're surprised it's usually my phone number. I'm saying this on international TV, but I never say it. So, but I direct them to where they're supposed to be. When we talk to them, like, yeah, hey, what's up? And then I find out what they need. If they want to join the Business Girl Magic, then I connect them to a person who is connecting to, who leads the program. If they want to join the Girls with Tools, I connect them to the head for the Girls with Tools. If they want to order a smart bag, then I connect them to wherever. But not all the time that it's my number there. There are other numbers. Just that people are very lucky. They
find you.
So we point them to where they need to be. And they get what they need.
Okay, right. And I know that, I understand that you have ambitions. Your impact, the impact that you're doing has already spread across, outside of Kampala, evidently, and you want to reach more people out there. What does it take to reach more women and girls?
Yeah, for now, we've been very lucky and very grateful and humbled. Like right now, my dream to build a fully structured training center. MTN Foundation is actually doing that for us at our home on Gayaza Road. So with that, the setup of that construction, it will see us train more than 400 young people a year. So that means 80% young women and 20% young men. So because now we are enrolling at least a percentage of the young men. So
you've expanded from 10 to 20 young men.
Because now we'll have the platform to bring in more young men and have them balanced very well into the system.
Right.
So with that center fully set up, because that's our year to really have it fully running and have all the programs sustainably running, because also the production of the smart bags is also going to be there, because we're doing it in different areas, though we still have the ladies who get out of the system of the smart bag and get their own machines. When we have a big order, they still do them, and then we do quality check at the offices. Yeah, so I really want to grow from that one center to at least have 3 more centers around Kampala, around Uganda, so that I do not have to have many girls coming from all over the country to have settled in Kampala. So we'll have the Eastern Center, Training Center, and then we have the Northern Training Center, so that we can employ and equip more young women and some young men. So that, people tell me I'm so ambitious. And that is small, I feel like, because I want to go beyond East Africa.
Right.
Yeah, I want to set up the Girls with Tools and the smart bags in Tanzania. And
with the trend we've seen, we know that you'll truly get there, because you're that river that never stops flowing. Yeah, you mentioned, you've just glossed over it, but I'm thinking if there's someone else there who also has maybe similar ambitions or a campaign. You just mentioned that, MTN Foundation is helping you with that. How did it come to be? You don't just get that kind of funding. First of all, I'm a marketeer, and I like inspiring other people to believe in my views and my passion. So MTN didn't come this time. I had approached MTN in 2019 when I saw them doing their yellow care, and I applied to have them do yellow care for our Girls with Tools. That time we were in another area, and it wasn't very well friendly, and we needed tools. And the biggest issue with vocational or hands-on skilling, it's quite expensive because of the tools and the material you need. So that time in 2019, MTN came around and did for us yellow care. It donated us tools, and it cleaned with us our community, and they really appreciated. They saw us firsthand. But then this just also that came from some time when I saw them. So later on, they come back
And they were very surprised to see that with that little support they had given us, we had actually grown out of it. Yeah. So the advice I give to really some people who do interventions and the work that I do, it's really have results. Yeah. Some people do the work and they're actually not doing it. It's on paper, but we have authentic results. And when MTN came back and saw we had used the little they had given us, and it had proven like results, they came and visited. They did due diligence for over 2 years, yeah, and they saw that we had actually changed lives of the young women, and they saw our challenges. They decided, you know what, let's build for you a home. We know you can be able to attract more support, but with a home, you'll be able to reach more young people that you intend to reach, and that's how it all transpired. But it started from one small support that we really maximally used to benefit more young girls.
Right. Now I'm curious, with all the things that you've mentioned, what does Kawempe look like right now, the area where you started from?
Yeah, oh wow. I've moved, I'm like, because whenever I would get into something, it isn't so small. Yeah, it's so small to fit in. There's so many people. I know where we were before we moved into a new space. They really developed. They now have some structures. The ladies who are there, they really changed. They've developed their area. Now here we are at Tembuzi. We've been welcomed by the community leaders. I have girls. I have one lady called Jennifer, one of my girls, who comes from my UK. Yeah. So she, even before her graduation, they're calling her an engineer because she's been able to help her community there with all their electrical installation needs. Can you imagine? So it's not even just about our presence. It's the impact the ladies we've helped impact, that the impact they're doing in their own communities.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jennifer did a very short, like a few months of training with you?
She's finished. She's in her second year now.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Where was she before she joined you?
Before she was out of school, she didn't have hope to go back to school. So she saw, I think she saw me on TV sometime, and then her father decided to enroll her. And that time now in 2019, we were collecting ladies from all over the country. Yeah. And then she got that opportunity to come through. But she's quite intelligent. And this one knows Luganda, Swahili, Lusoga. So she's
multilingual.
Yes, yeah. And she's very fast, a fast learner. So her immediately, even during COVID, she became so famous there, because they would keep on calling her for problems so she would solve their small electrical installation needs. Now they can't wait for her to graduate. Yeah. They're like, now this is our engineer. So
and why had she dropped out of school?
Her parents, her dad didn't have enough money. She had lost her mom. So the parents didn't have enough resources to keep her in school, and they had other siblings. So since they had taken her till S4, they're like, you know what, that's enough for you. You look for what to do. Well, let's take your other siblings throughout school. Yeah. So she was there. We have another, like Flavia, who lost her father also when she was young. The mother wanted the mother didn't have the money. She worked in a salon. So she tells her, instead you come with a salon and learn how to do hair. And that's what I do not have any more money. Right. That's when they enrolled her. So we have all of them profiled. They have their own stories. Others are lucky who are paying, because we have some now who are paying, who have seen their parents, who have seen the other impact of the other ladies, and said, you know what, I prefer my girl to be enrolled here for like 2 years to learn this skill, and later on, if she appreciates it, I can take her on beyond for university and to get a degree or a diploma. So. Right. Every girl there has their own story. And
if we are to go to the 20% of the boys that you're looking at, what kind of skills are you giving them? Because for the girls we've seen, there's financial empowerment, there's skills training in the different technical things, but also, speaking to them as women to build their self-esteem and maybe counseling them. What goes into the boys? They also get the same, because they do the same, but for the boys also get part of under our Goodman Project, where we take them through to be, and even make them Goodman ambassadors, to be the voice for the young women. Yeah. Oh my God, when you meet the young, smart boys at the center, you'd think they were forever been campaigning for the young women. Yeah. So we've made them our agents of change. Yeah. So we take them through that, and they go out in the community with us to try and change the mindset of the men when it comes to these skill sets, because they've been at the center learning with the ladies. They've seen them, they can do these jobs.
So they're pitching with the ladies, pitching for them, pitching with them, and pitching for them.
Right.
So we've made them the good men we wanted to make them.
And where do they come from? And what ages? Are they also 24 to 28,
yes,
like the girls?
Most of them are from that kind of age, 20 to 30. Yeah. And they're all from the same communities. Yeah. We have one who, it's a young boy, and he's there at the center right now with his 2 sisters.
Right.
So it's like the whole family, they're there. But because they had lost both of their parents and they were feeding for themselves, and they decided, let's enroll ourselves in here to learn the skills and get out and help ourselves.
You mentioned something smart. I mean, smart girls, smart tools, smart everything. Why smart?
Because of, when I was coming up with the name of Smart Girls Uganda, smart, it comes from the SMART goals. Yeah. So I wanted to empower a girl to be systematic, to be measurable, to be able to attain her goals, to be timely. The whole description of smart. Yeah. So it's embodied in this woman. She knows that she needs to achieve her goals smartly and live her life smartly to make better decisions, because an empowered woman is an empowered nation. When a woman is empowered in a family, she'll make sure her kids stay in school. She'll make sure she's, like, the whole generation after her will also be empowered.
Right.
Yeah.
As we almost come to the end of the show, I mean, time is running out so fast. I do not know why. Maybe the conversation is so good with Jamila. We've had this whole journey that you've come from. What would you say, looking back, growing up, what would you say has impacted you or shaped you to be able to do the work that you're doing right now?
Oh my God, so many events in my life have really shaped me for the different kinds of programs. Like, I have a story for every program that I've done. I could even talk about forever, but all throughout is the fact I appreciate my time being in Nabisunsa. Most people don't want to take their girls in single-sex schools. The menstrual bullying I went through Kitante, and I love Kitante, don't take that away. So,
it was the individuals who bullied you, not the school.
Yeah. But when I went to Nabisunsa, it was my safe space. These were girls from all over. I am a proud Nabisunsa girl. It built my self-confidence. I related to girls from different corners of the world, and I learned from them. And I feel like my self-confidence, the person I am, like, led to who I am right now. So my shaping from the family I came from, being so diverse, and then getting to this environment that also built my self-esteem. And then later on at campus, I had a particular teacher in marketing who really taught me on how to be smart around marketing. I think has also changed my perspective. So every level I had either a person or the system or the community that has driven my passion to do the things that I have done, but also some of the pains that I've faced in life have led to some of the things that I've done.
Where do you get the energy from to do all the different things? It's like there's never a resting moment. I mean, I understand that even when you were in Nabisunsa, you were in almost all the clubs.
Yes,
how did you get to focus and yet still do all these clubs? And even in the work life, you had all the different things, like you didn't just settle. Where do you get the energy from?
Oh, but I don't know. I think it's my passion. Oh my God, I'm so passionate. I want to create a legacy. I want that, inshallah, or when, God forbid, when I'm dead, I'm remembered generations and generations after, even when my bones don't exist in the ground. So I really want to create a legacy of that the lady started something that is still running for years and generations after when she's gone. So I think that's what drives me, but also more of my passion. I like making someone smile. I like making and changing someone's life fully, 360.
Okay, that's very inspiring indeed. And among the impact that you're talking about, you had mentioned the business girl magic, which sounds, very fancy. I understand that you are you're preparing something in a few days to come. What impact are you hoping to have with it? And how do you hope for it to run?
The Business Girl Magic Summit, we have a summit on this Saturday at Rosaho restaurant in Kololo. and we are looking at, we have all these speakers that are coming from the legal, from the finance, business management, management leadership, marketing, and also business mentors that are going to talk to the young women who are starting or want to start businesses, to try and inspire them to persevere and create the sustainability in their lives. Exactly what Women's Month this month is about, to take away the bias in business, but to believe in themselves that they can have a sustainability to start their businesses and to grow their businesses.
Right.
So, and also network and, know each other and work together.
Through all the work that you're doing, what realization has it made you come to about Uganda and doing business in Uganda?
Oh man, business in Uganda. With the taxes, with the now fuel prices, but Uganda, I've traveled other countries. We are so entrepreneurial, but the problem we have, we never get off the startup phase because there isn't so much support for startups. What access to capital, access to investment, access to enough. Like most of the ladies I've noticed that I've talked to in the Business Girl Magic, they've started, they have the idea, but they do not have the capital to bring it on a big firm. So that's why the Business Girl Magic is very important for me. So Uganda becomes a problem in a way. The rates are high, yeah. To get into certification of a simple, small product, the process is quite tedious. The taxes that come with them maybe trying to bring in, it's tedious. So it takes one who has either a background of their family has given them capital, has given them space to start the business, but social media has also helped a little bit. But now you see, social media and then Facebook, you need VPN. So there's as if always a fight for the young people to actually start. So that's why I believe so much for them to work in teams, to try and break those barriers to prosper. Because sometimes when you're alone, it's hard to break those barriers. Alone.
Yeah, right. And the same has been mentioned by some of our guests whom we've had here to say, come together as a group because it becomes easier when you're going to certify, and it's very important to certify. But would love to thank you so much for sharing your story with us. And we believe that maybe someone's life has been impacted. If you have a social enterprise, an idea that you want to do, talk to Jamila Mayanja. She'll help you because she thinks very quick on her feet and is able to get things moving, and also improving the business environment in our country, like you have mentioned, so that we can get things moving. Just to, in conclusion, is there one particular story, or when you go back from the beginning, where you say, what I've set out to do, maybe on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you say you are in terms of achieving that legacy that you want to do?
We'll be shocked, but I feel like I'm at 4 or 3.
Well, don't be shocked because you told us your ambition is so big.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can only believe.
But I'm getting there, but with what I've done so far, I'm humbled, but also more hungry to actually achieve more. They usually say that when more money, more problems. Yeah. But for me, more passion, more need to even make that passion. More ambition to conquer, because you've seen it's possible. Yeah, when you see something happen and it actually happens the way you imagine it, you're more hungry to create more impact. And that's who I am. Whenever I create a change, I'm hungry to make even more change. Right. Well, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and for sharing your story with us. That's it for CTV Month of the Woman special programming that we've created to celebrate the women in our communities and also to share stories and experiences of those who are creating change and impact in our communities. We hope that you also pick a leaf from them and you do something in your own community and act on the experiences and the tips that they're sharing with us. Well, that's it for us today. I'm Amelia Nakitimbo. More programming is coming up. At the top of the hour, we have Brunch Request, but also remember, we have the news that we are preparing for you at 7 p.m. Enjoy Golovie, and at 9 p.m. PM edition will be coming to you. So don't blink.